there was a time she would come out to an event and she would just cling on to me, sit in my lap, hold on to my arm the whole time and not want to leave me. And here, the moment she walked into the gymnasium, she was swarmed by the posse and the girl gang was getting together and they were out just cha-chaing all over the place, running around, dancing, having a great time without us dads, right? Like they didn't need us. They would come back to like do the necessary, like give us their jackets, give us their purse, or eventually take off their shoes. And I was like, man, y'all are little ladies already. But they were doing all the necessary things. But other than that, they were together. And I started to think that, yo, there's going to be a time where they don't even want to come to a dance with us. And I was like, God, my heart was broken at that moment at the thought of that. Hello and welcome to another episode of Music and Nostalgia, where we come and share some stories that touch our hearts and take us back in time, sometimes forward in the future. I'm your host, Dakwa Peters, and I am excited to share another episode with you today. And what's really cool about today is it's International Women's Day. So a big shout out to all the women around the world. This is a global recognition and celebration. So we're so excited to have you be a part of our world. We're so happy that women are there to make the world go around. Today, I wanted to talk about the song Cinderella, and it is by Stephen Curtis Chapman. I'm actually this is a very new song for me. And I'm sure you're wondering then, how does it have nostalgia attached to it? I'm so glad you asked. Let me take you through a little bit of a journey. First off, the song was released, I think it was released in 2007 by the artist Stephen Curtis Chapman. And what's beautiful about the song, it's a song where he narrates his love for his daughter through the years. And when you think of the Cinderella story, she goes, we know the side of the stepmother and the stepsisters, but the focus here is that she makes it to the ball, and then she has to leave before midnight. Well, he turns that story kind of on its side a bit, and the dance is between him and his daughter before she moves on to different stages in life. And the final stage that he narrates being when she finally gets married. And, my daughter is 6, so I'm not looking for that journey anytime soon. But when I heard the song, it was at her school dance. By the way, I had a totally different episode for you guys today, but then I heard this song and it moved me in such a powerful and emotional way. I had to bring it to you. And so that's why I'm here today with this. Let me tell you how I got exposed to the story. So I just came from my daughter's school dance. It's the father-daughter dance that happened tonight. And here's the magical thing. It was our first one. We haven't done this before because, COVID. And while we were getting ready, first off, my daughter told everybody that she could reach by phone, by video chat, just by, just like, hey, it's a father-daughter dance. And she was so elated, so excited about it. And so we got dressed up. We took photos at the school, and then we sat down to eat some Chick-fil-A because my baby loves some Chick-fil-A. After we ate, then we went to the gymnasium at her school. And as we walked in, she had the posse, and it was hard to actually accept that my 6-year-old has a social life outside of me, outside of the family, outside of the household. And as soon as we walked through the gym doors, like 4 friends start screaming, and it's this piercing scream of joy, pleasure, and enthusiasm that I didn't expect to see from her until she was a teenager. And they got together and they just started running around. And then they stopped and waited by the door for the next friend. And when the next person came in, they did the same thing. And then they ran around and then they came back and waited. And the next one, boom. So when the posse was complete, I think it was 6 or 7 of them, then they took off and they were off doing their thing. And it's so weird because prior to that, my daughter was just hanging on to me. She was holding my hand at every step and pointing things out and letting me know about the school and stuff like that. But the moment the dance started, she was like, I mean, the moment we walked into the gymnasium, it's like I was embarrassing her. So they several times, the DJ was like, okay, girls, get together with your dads and let's have a dance to this whatever song. So they played several songs. And each time that happened, my daughter Tina would just be like, no, I want to play with my friends. I'm like, dude, it's a father-daughter dance. Like, what? But eventually, I think she caught on, like most of the other kids as well, that, oh, this is our opportunity to dance with dad because everybody's doing it. So it wasn't something where she was being embarrassed by being the only one doing it. So she finally started dancing with me. And I think it as she ran off, she would dance for like a few seconds and take off and go hang out with her girls. Right? Super weird, hang out with her girls. She's 6. So now she's done this a couple of times. And then closer to the end of the night, they selected this song, Cinderella. And I'd never heard, I don't remember ever hearing this song before. This was a first for me. So I thought, well, why not? Let's rock to it. Because they said they had 3 songs that they said, the DJ and a couple other people that spoke on the mic, were special traditions for the school. And this being one of them. And so when I didn't even think to pay attention to the words because I was just like, hey, it's a tradition. Let's get down. Daddy likes to dance. So let's go. And so now the music starts and I was like immediately intrigued because he started off and he says, oh gosh, I have to give you actual lyrics because I want you to hear what I was hearing. Because when I heard it, I immediately thought, please tell me that this song is not about to get me all emotional and teary-eyed. And because I didn't know what song it was, and then, technology, we were in the dark spot of it was like a black hole, couldn't get any reception to Shazam it, because it's probably one of my favorite apps because I can always find whatever music I'm hearing. And the song starts off and it says, she spins and she sways to whatever song plays without a care in the world. And I'm sitting here wearing the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I was like, first off, isn't that like indicative of most father-daughter relationships when you think about it? Like they carry none of the weight of the world. They're just so happy, so pleased to be existing in the time and space that they're in with whomever, in most cases, not all the cases, of course, but I'm talking about my child's experience. And if you're like me, you can relate. And so I've seen her in those moments where she's, in her own world. And here I am thinking like, oh, do we have enough food for dinner? Do we need groceries? Do we need, the bills paid and all those things that just natural part of being an adult that sometimes weigh on us before we allow ourselves the moment to just smile and enjoy the moment with our family, with our kids. And so, that goes and it says, it's been a long day and there's still work to do. She's pulling at me saying, Dad, I need you. There's a ball at the castle and I've been invited and I need to practice my dancing. Oh, please, Daddy, please. And talk about tugging at your heartstrings. Oh, please, Daddy, please. Sweeter words could never been said, right? Hearing that from your daughter. And the moment that happened, that line came, I was like, oh, let me pay closer attention to the song because now it's starting to speak to something that I've had, dads, we've had enough tea parties, right? Yeah, like we've been there. And so I immediately was just enamored by this. And here's what it started to do for me. It started to take me on this road. So first off, it reminded me, well, first, I've said first off about a million times. It reminded me of 9 years, almost 9 years ago, um, when I got married to my wife, Teju, and she danced to the song Butterfly Kisses with her older brother because her father has passed away. And her oldest brother because her father passed away. And when they danced, there wasn't a dry eye in the room, particularly not the two of them. There's a couple of people I can imagine were camera ready at all moments with no tears available, but that's just because some folks got to be ready for the camera at all times. So it took me to that moment, right? It felt like this. So this song felt like a slingshot. Remember, we're talking about nostalgia here. So it pulled me from that moment dancing with my daughter, and it pulled me back to about 9 years ago when I saw my wife and her elder brother dancing the father-daughter dance. And I thought, man, so first off, I was like, hold up, why y'all all emotional? I mean, we're the ones getting married, right? Like I'm the one y'all, but of course, I knew the emotion of her leaving her family's home in theory and moving in to now being a Peters, So all of that was just as it was playing out on the dance floor right there, almost 9 years ago. And then to this night where I'm dancing with my child, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable how touching this is. So I'm here and I'm literally blown away. And that's just the first verse. But then here's the beauty, right? Like as it slung me back into the past, I started thinking that, like I really have to cherish these moments with my child, because there was a time she would come out to an event and she would just cling on to me, sit in my lap, hold on to my arm the whole time and not want to leave me. And here, the moment she walked into the gymnasium, she was swarmed by the posse and the girl gang was getting together and they were out just cha-chaing all over the place, running around, dancing, having a great time without us dads, right? Like they didn't need us. They would come back to like do the necessary, like give us their jackets, give us their purse, or eventually take off their shoes. And I was like, man, y'all are little ladies already. But they were doing all the necessary things. But other than that, they were together. And I started to think that, there's going to be a time where they don't even want to come to a dance with us. And I was like, God, my heart was broken at that moment at the thought of that. And then they'll start dating. And, I was like, Tinu's eventually going to go out with boys. And so it's strange, right? Because amongst my cousins, when we talk about these things, I'm like, oh, I'm cool. I know it's expected. I know it's going to happen. I'm praying that, we impart the lessons and the philosophies and enough love and care and concern for her that she never feels like anything outside is super impressive, right? That, a guy can come in here and woo her with some McDonald's fries, right? I want her to have the experiences of the world. So a guy bringing things is not what will impress her. It will be the character that he brings, And so that's, so as outside of the slingshot experience of taking me back to where, we looked at me getting married and then slinging me into this moment where I see her having fun with friends and eventually she's going to have a boyfriend or whatever the case may be as time progresses. It also had me looking at a stage that I knew and I know and I pray I am there to see, and that happens, that eventually she gets married. And I'm thinking, wow, you mean to tell me there's going to be a time where my child is going to be married and I get to have that father-daughter dance? And in the song, oh my gosh, in the song, I'm gonna pull this up. Like I wanted to get this right. And she says, so I will dance. And so he says, She says he's a nice guy and I'd be impressed. She wants to know if I approve of her dress. She says the dad this is the boyfriend part, right? Like, dad, the prom is just 1 week away and I need to practice my dancing. Oh, please, daddy, please. What I love about it is, of course, we know this stage is when we think about girls not necessarily wanting to do the affectionate things with guys, from the narrative that we see, however the narrative has been curated. But my thing, as much as I love to dance, my hope and my prayer is that my child wants to have those experiences with me where she wants to practice her dancing with me, experience those moments with me. Because of course, for me, that'll be a treasured experience. And to think about all of that, I was like, wow, this is really magnificent to hear. But then when he jumped to the part where he says, well, she came home today with a ring on her hand, just glowing and telling us that all they had planned, telling us all they had planned. She says, Dad, the wedding's still 6 months away, but I need to practice my dancing. Oh, please, daddy, please. Oh my goodness. As I heard the progression in the song, can I say that I did one of these numbers? For those of you who can't see me, head tilted up, eyes rolled to the back, and then shaking like I'm trying to get something out of my hair, which I have none on my head. And that was one of those moments where I was like, ooh, whoa, what's going on here? Let me shake these tears back up in the ducts, because they can't be pouring right now, because nobody, well, maybe some of the dads would understand, right? Because if they're listening to the lyrics. But it moved me in such a dynamic and dramatic way that I started thinking, like, this is a journey that's eventually going to happen for those of us that have dads that have daughters that are little right now, that we're eventually going to have that last dance, that as before she enters her marriage home, right? Like, we're going to have that experience. And I'm thinking, wow, as much as I knew it would happen, I never had a projection. I never had an image. I never had a narrative of what it would look like, what I would feel, what I should experience, right? Those things never came in my mind, because I just thought, well, when the time comes, those emotions can take shape, and I'll grow into those experiences. And of course, the naivete of it, I was like, oh, sure, I'll be fine. It'll be all good. And then I'm like, I just heard this song, and it's not even anywhere near possible. She's not even talking about any boyfriends or anything like that. And I'm already emotional. I was like, oh boy, your boy's about to be in trouble, right? That's what I was thinking as I was listening to the song. I immediately I recorded it as we danced, right? One, because I wanted to see the moment. I wanted to remember it. But two, I wanted to capture the music so I could go search it, because I didn't know what it was. As soon as we got out of the gymnasium, I went to search it, and I played it. I probably played it like 60 times before I decided to record this. And I think that's what moved me to record this instead of what I had instead. And I was like, why make this switch up, and why make this episode the way I'm making it? And I thought, because more than anything, what I want is to have the best and be the best form of an example for my daughter, right? For Tanu, as a man, for what I want her to see. Not that I have all the answers, not that I have all the talent, but that what I do have, I know how to utilize in the manner of finding the right resources, connecting with the right people. So she's not limited to just my scope on the world, but I'm able to align her with a bigger vision. But it helps when I know that I can impart in her the qualities that I see fit to share, because I think these are the necessary tools for her to advance in life, for her to be a stronger individual, for her not to be, I'm troubled with the word independent, because I think we as a society, we need to be codependent. There needs to be interdependence, should I say, where we're doing our thing, but it's with the existence of other people along the journey, right? I don't want it to be like, the whole idea of I'm an independent woman, and so nobody can do anything for me. And then you stay alone in the world, miserable because you can't share experiences with people. Not that type of independent. I mean the independent of where you can do the things that you desire to do, take on the mantle of whatever mission it is, drive towards it, lead the charge, but also know that there are other people along the journey with you, so you can bring them along, or you can come along with them on the journey. So it's those things, the knowledge, the love, the affection that I want her to see, feel, and experience as a child growing up in the world today, so that she has the opportunity to connect to whatever opportunities are out there for her. And why did I want to do that today? Because I think about the day that we have, that's International Women's Day. And I had to look it up because I've known about it for years. We celebrate it every year, but honestly didn't have any background on what International Women's Day is. And for those of you that know, please forgive me. I had to go do some research. One, knowing that it's a global day. And it's, of course, everybody's used it, and as social media has grown and become such a major part of our world, it's become such a hashtag experience that we don't necessarily know the root of it, right? And so I looked it up, and I read that, International Women's Day was initially, the first time it was ever a thing was in 1911. And I don't know too much about how that came about, but I do know in 1945, that the United Nations, a division of the United Nations, created an international agreement to formulate a space where women could have equal access to opportunities out there for them. But it wasn't until 1975 that the United Nations actually made it a March 8th International Women's Day. Now, of course, I'm jumbling a lot of this up because I had to look this up, because I was wondering why my daughter and our father-daughter dance meant so much to me and tied into International Women's Day, because again, for equality, for protection from sexual aggravation, from sexual assault, and things that can give women equal access just like men. Those are some of the reasons why International Women's Day was formulated, and that the United Nations took it on and made it an international, a global experience, so that every women everywhere could have the same access. And though we're still fighting the battle to date for women to have equal access, to have equal rights, to have equal pay, to be able to walk into any room and be treated the same as any man that's in the room as well. For those things to become a reality, it's still taking work. And prayerfully, when I think about my daughter, prayerfully, she has the opportunity to march in step with those that have had powerful experiences in this time and day, where they can now thrive, where she can now thrive in the world that she lives in. So when she does get married, it's not to exist under somebody else's umbrella, but so that they can both come with their umbrellas and cover each other, protect each other, because they can equally march forward, living in a world where women are treated as they should, that women have access as they should, and women have rights as they should. And so the more I thought about how this International Women's Day hit me, there was reason to look a lot deeper than I'd ever looked in my past experiences. Because yes, I always celebrated. I'm surrounded by some strong, beautiful, intelligent, industrious women, from my mother to my aunts, to my cousins, to my wife, to my friends. I am surrounded by some brilliant, incredibly remarkable women. So to know that in the world we exist in right now, they are still subjugated to living a subpar experience in so many ways, that no, it's time for that to change. And what better way than to channel the things that we learned from International Women's Day. So I wanted to share that because Cinderella by Stephen Curtis Chapman was something that I did not know I needed to hear when I did. And even though it was a new song for me today, it literally took me back in the past 9 years forward. I mean, into the present, enjoying the moment, but forward into the future, seeing and hoping and imagining what my daughter's life and her peers will look like, and however many years that is. But yes, there is beauty in knowing that our women are leading the charge. And there's more beauty in knowing that our daughters are being groomed to do just the same and more. And I cannot wait to celebrate all the victories that my daughter and her world and her peers in the world make. So yes, that's my story for today. That's the episode for Music and Nostalgia. I hope it touches you guys like it really reached me. And for the dads out there, I know that your daughters have your hearts wrapped around their pinky, because mine sure does. And I just can't wait to see how, as we go through the stages of life, that the dance that she asks, even after she's married, she comes back and says that I need to practice my dancing. So please, Daddy, please. Those are 3 words I pray to hear, and I know you pray to hear over and over again. Please, Daddy, please. Just don't ask me for money, little girl. Well, that it is. Thank you so very much for joining me on another episode of Music and Nostalgia. We are so excited to be sharing stories each and every week. Just know this coming week, we'll have another episode up for you on Tuesday. Now, let's look forward to making the world a better place. Hug a woman you know, love on her, and celebrate her. And let's help all women lead the charge on International Women's Day and every day after. Just remember, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what's going on in the world, the joy is truly in the journey. Have a blessed one. Take care. See you in the next episode. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and let the world know Music and Nostalgia show exists. Thank you. Have a great one.